Hi, welcome to today's presentation on the software development lifecycle and custom application development practice area. Thank you for joining us. Today we're joined by Michael Hamidi, the practice director for this practice area. Michael's got almost 15 years of experience with Robbins-Gioia. He's worked almost all the positions that you can work here at Robbins-Gioia, and now he's stepped up to take on a role of practice area manager for us in TSG. Thanks for joining us today, Michael. Why don't you go ahead and take it away?
All right, thanks, John. I appreciate the time to sit down and talk with you all about what my practice area does here at RG. So the SDLC offering here at Robbins-Gioia has to do with all facets of the software development lifecycle that a customer would undertake while doing development activities at their site. On this slide, we have a chart really detailing out what the different phases that we view happen during the software development lifecycle, from initiation to concept development, planning, requirements analysis, design development, through testing, deployment, maintenance, and disposition. Underneath there, you see particular activities that we can do for each one of those areas. And later on in the presentation, I'll dive a little bit deeper into each one of these areas to give examples of work that we've done in the past. Now, towards the bottom, you see these overarching activities that we do that really span the entire life cycle, and that we can help our customers and really become the kind of trusted advisors that they need. So when they're trying to do one of these activities and they might have questions or need advice or guidance, these are the types of activities we can offer them. So to start off with, we have the bread and butter of how a lot of our efforts start, of system assessments. This is when a client is either looking to upgrade or they're not quite sure what their landscape looks like, or maybe somebody new has come on board and they're trying to get their head around what's going on at the site. What we'll do is we'll come out and we'll sit down with them and their team, and we'll really start to peel back the layers of the onion and get a firm understanding of, what systems they have, how they interact with one another, what the inputs and the outputs are, who some of their users are, and who some of their clients are. One example of this is we've had a lot of legacy systems that want to upgrade. We've had some federal clients who are currently sitting on mainframes who are like, well, we want to get off the mainframe. It's very expensive to maintain, and it's harder and harder to find people who are skilled in doing these applications. So what are our options out there? So we'll sit down and take a look at their organization and their budget and what their people are currently trained in, and then make a recommendation. One federal client, we sat down and discovered that, moving to Linux and moving to a COTS database would be better for them, and we made that recommendation, and they went ahead and implemented that. So those are the types of activities we do there. Usually we start off with an assessment also to try and really, this gives us the background to be able to move on to some of these further activities, because, of course, you always need a good foundation to move forward. Next up is the analysis of alternatives. With budgets being cut, it's becoming more and more important for managers and executives to be able to make smart choices, and then also to defend those choices. Typically what we'll do here is, like in the previous example with the assessment, a client will be looking to move off of a legacy system, or they want to implement a new line of business, or do something different. And they're trying to understand, okay, well, what am I going to have to do? What are my options out there? So what we'll do is we'll come out there, we'll talk to them about, what functional areas or their business needs are, come up with a list of that. Then we'll sit down with them and determine, what their enterprise architecture is, what their people are currently trained in, and really try and get the overall picture of what their entire business unit is doing. And then we'll come up with usually 3 alternatives, with the 4th being their status quo. And what that does is they can then rate and rank against them, using priorities of, okay, these things are more important to us, these things are not so important, and then we'll detail out, okay, here's what the costs are, here's what some COTS packages are, because no COTS unfortunately meets all the needs all the time. A lot of times there's custom development or customization that needs to go on, so we help them get their head around what those costs are going to be, what their training costs are for their staff. So what they're really getting from us is the total cost of ownership of moving to a new architecture it's going to be. and then they can make the decision. They can take our recommendation, they can sit down, they can look at it, and then they'll have numbers in front of them that they can use to defend their decision and move forward if desired. Moving on to requirement solicitation, writing and management. We have a long history there of working with both federal and Department of Defense clients there. With the requirements, we do all different really levels of them. We can do the high-level system down to the mid-level software and all the way down to the detail level requirements, depending upon really what the client's needs are. A lot of times we'll see that with the new push in the market for COTS packages, they usually don't get below software requirements. That's basically just the list that they use to feed back up into the AOA so they can make their decisions. In this process, we'll sit down with the client and we'll sit down with all their SMEs and hold interviews and determine really what their business needs are and what their technical needs are and do a write-up with them. A lot of times we target a document that they can then turn around and create an RFP off of, or literally it will be a document that they can hand to a developer and get the system that they want built out of that. So moving on to the next slide, software development. We've been doing software development really since RG started back in the 80s. We have done many different size efforts. We've worked in really all markets, commercial, federal, civil, Department of Defense. Typically our teams, we do smaller teams of a couple of people all the way up to, I think, some of our largest efforts have been 30 plus developers working on systems. We work across all platforms, Windows, Unix, Linux, various databases, Oracle, SQL Server. We've even done some work in Informix. We do many different languages. A lot of times these efforts are what we use is governed by our clients and their enterprise architectures. So we have had the opportunity to do C, C++ coding, .NET languages. A lot of our clients now have moved over to the world of Java. Like I said, we've done work for the Department of Defense. We have a system there that's probably roughly 1 million lines of code, down to a smaller effort where we helped one of our federal clients with an effort where they were having a really manually intensive process where court clerks from across the nation were having to fax in records. There was a lot of dual entry, really time consuming. We had a very small person team really design a system for them that it took them to the next level. It used electronic signatures, central location, and it saved them thousands of hours. No more faxing, no more double entry, and they were able to greatly free those people up to do other kinds of work. So we've really done a whole gambit of efforts there under our software development efforts. Independent validation and verification. This is one of those tasks that really spans the entire span of the software development lifecycle from the inception all the way out to maintenance. Essentially, the aspect of the work that we do under there is we'll sit down with a client and we'll review the documents and the lifecycle that they're currently using, and we'll try and help them understand, and we'll look for quality. We'll recommend strategies to improve the qualities of the documents. A lot of times we'll be reviewing other contractors' documents. We really become the trusted advisor there, where we'll make recommendations of, make these tweaks here, make those tweaks there. These are the types of things you should be looking for. These are the types of milestones you should set up. This is the kind of response you should be seeing. So we're really trying to work with our client there to get them on the right track and make sure that their project is successful. Supporting that help desk and really supporting the rest of these activities are the staff that work for this particular practice area. We have senior software engineers, lead testers, we have business analysts, business process folks, and then of course just developers who can really support all those languages that I mentioned before in some of those earlier slides. For those of you who wish to get more information, feel free to contact either myself at Michael Homendy at Robbins-Gioia.com or Jonathan Hughes, who is the VP of Technology here at RG. You can reach either one of us through email or off of our homepage.
Thanks, Michael, for all the information on your practice area. It was a great overview. I hope it was helpful for the people watching. Have a great day.